Look at this noise level. I mean, this is the antenna setup. I mean, it's not perfect. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty terrible. You can't operate like that. It's just not going to work at all. You're not going to be able to hear anything over that noise. But where this workspace is, I've not really got any option. I've only got a balcony. That's all I can do. I mean, if I could get rid of the noise, I think this location wouldn't be too bad. So I've grabbed one of these, a QRM eliminator. Interesting bit of kit. I've seen a few videos on these, and supposedly they work wonders for noise. So from what I understand of this, it uses two antennas to cancel out noise. So basically you've got your main antenna input, that one on the far left, and then you've got an auxiliary antenna. So the idea is you run an auxiliary antenna, something that's going to pick up the noise but not necessarily the signals that you want to receive. And then you kind of use these two phase controls on the front to sort of cancel the noise out and hopefully leave you with a clean signal. But what I want to know is, will it work in this really bad situation here where I've got a load of noise coming from a shop downstairs and that is just basically wiping out 27 megs. So first up, what I've had to do is sort of create another antenna here, which ideally will pick up the noise level, presumably coming from downstairs. That's kind of why I've pointed it that way. I've had a little experiment around, just moving it backwards and forwards, and that is where the noise is peaking, right where that antenna is there. So that's obviously going through that window, and then this is the wire for the main antenna. So if we come back over to the radio, we'll see horrendous noise level there. That's the main antenna there, right there. So if we unplug that, and then this is a good thing about having sort of an SDR, because you can actually see the noise level as well as hear it. So it does make it quite handy to, you know, trying to find signals. Now, if we plug in the little mag mount, which I've got there, you'll see. So we see the noise level is pretty much the same. So that's quite interesting, because that's obviously just like a sort of rubber duck, but it is tuned to 27 megahertz. I don't know if that's going to cause me problems going forward, because that might, you know, pick up a signal that I don't want it to. In other words, you know, I might be cancelling out, you know, the signals that I want to hear. We'll see. Anyway, we'll test it out. But I've got a good level of noise on there anyway, so I think that's the key. So this thing needs a 12-volt supply. So most of my stuff runs on batteries, as you know. So I'm going to have to figure out a little battery solution for this. All right, so I've made up a little XT30 lead for this, because that's what I've got on my 3-cell lithium battery, which is just on charge. So that'd be 12.6 volts fully charged. So that appears to be working. Let's get this hooked up then. So we want our main antenna in that side and our auxiliary antenna in that side. And then we need a patch lead to go from that to the radio. Right, so we're all wired up. Let's see what happens. So there's our crazy noise. Let's turn that on. Nothing happens as yet. Let's see if we can turn this and make something happen. So we have got quite a high noise level coming in from that external antenna. So I'm wondering, so that if you turn that gain right up, we're almost out blasting the main signal. So I kind of, let's try and get that. Right, I'm going to play around with this a little bit more. Guys, look at this. I've just been fiddling around. So that's with it basically on. Look at what happens if I turn it off now. That is unbelievable. I mean, that is crazy. That's actually just completely eliminated that noise. I mean, to a point anyway. I mean, there's obviously a little bit of noise there, but you can just see the waterfall, the difference in the waterfall there. So the question is it still receiving signals? Because I'm obviously not hearing anything at the moment. So we'll have to just have a listen and just see if anyone pops up. Right, so the next thing I've got to do is I've got to wire up the remote switch. Because obviously this little box needs to be taken out of the circuit when you key up and transmit. So they give you this kind of little RCA connector that kind of goes to a bare wire. So you can basically work out what you need to do with your radio, in specific radio you're going to use. My radio is the 705, Icon 705, and it uses this like audio connector as a kind of remote PTT keying. So on the 705 it uses the ring, the ground sort of shield there, and the tip. So all you do is work out which one's the tip and the ground. Ground is usually obviously the one that's you know, looks like a braid or whatever. In this case it's the white wire is the tip. So I'm just going to connect those two, and then it should, when you key up, just take the thing out of the circuit so you don't obviously, you know, smoke it. Right, so I've made the lead, put it in there, then that goes across to the QRM eliminator, and then when you key up, basically changes to green. So very simple setup. I've still not heard anyone on here though, so I might have to resort to doing some tests myself with 2 radios. These radios are really good because they can record activity. You can just basically set it to record and it records to an SD card. I mean, the difference is absolutely crazy. I just want to make sure it's just not attenuating everything rather than, you know. Right guys, so it's the next day now. It is actually pretty quiet on the radio at the moment. There's not many people around. It's sort of middle of a weekday, so it's kind of like, you know, a bit difficult. But I have made one contact so far. It was probably about 3 miles down the road, something like that. He said my signal was excellent. It was like in the pluses, which you kind of expect a few miles down the road. I mean, CB frequencies can be a little bit kind of, you know, if it's not working, you're not going to get very far at all, put it that way. So that's good to know. His signal still had a bit of noise on it. I won't lie, like it still had noise on it, but I don't know. He was talking about putting his antenna up higher, so maybe he hadn't quite finished, you know, fiddling with his end as well. But it's looking quite good. It's looking quite good. I've not made any kind of, you know, other contacts, sort of longer distance and stuff. But I think for local, it seemed to have solved the problem. I definitely wouldn't be able to work that contact without the QRM eliminator on, because the noise just destroys everything. So that's quite interesting. I think if you might be in a lower noise area, you know, and you just want to just get rid of that horrible bit of PLC noise or something like that, this should be, you know, amazing for that. But we're fighting a bit of a losing battle here because we've not got a great antenna up outside. So I'm going to look into that side of it as well to see if there's anything I can do to improve that. Maybe even just moving that antenna along the balcony a bit might actually sort of, you know, create get a better signal. It seems to be working anyway, so I can't complain at this stage. Anyway, something interesting's turned up. That's broken. Oh, that's not damaged. Nice bit of fiberglass in there, guys.